First tonight, thousands of Virgin Blue passengers have had their travel plans thrown into chaos as flights right across the country were cancelled or delayed. A major computer glitch is being blamed for the failure of the airline's check-in system.
Sydney Airport, even at the start of school holidays, shouldn't be this congested. But when the Virgin Blue check-in system crashed Australia-wide, so did every passenger's itinerary.
Your crew here at Virgin Blue are working under extremely difficult circumstances.
Thousands have been delayed. Domestic and international flights are either hours behind schedule or cancelled altogether.
I can tell you there's some cranky people in here, that's for sure.
No more Virgin Blue.
Staff handed out water and food vouchers, but there were reports of people waiting 2 hours on tarmacs, even after boarding.
Oh, it's pretty bad at the moment.
In Sydney, paramedics were on standby with heat affecting some of those waiting. The airlines advised its passengers to check the website before they leave for the airport to see when their flight is now scheduled.
You know, we always pride ourselves at Virgin Blue on our on-time performance, and it's really not satisfactory for our guests to have this today.
The carrier blames a third-party computer server which went down at 8 this morning, forcing staff back to paper and pens for check-ins. And for grand final crowds leaving Melbourne, a second disappointment in as many days.
Another no-go, another no result.
The delays will stretch at least until the end of today and possibly flow over to tomorrow. Josh Murphy, 10 News.
An airline computer glitch has left hundreds of Queensland Air passengers out of pocket for the long weekend. Live to Tessa Scott at the airport. And Tessa, Virgin passengers are being stung.
Well, that's right, Eva. It's a problem with Virgin Australia's new booking system. Some passengers are reporting they've been charged twice, even 3 times for the one flight. The first they learn of the problem is when they log into their bank accounts to find the money is gone. We also understand Etihad Airways is experiencing a similar problem. Virgin's Facebook page has been hit with comments from unhappy customers, some of which are pretty furious about being left out of pocket for the Easter long weekend. One customer was told she'll wait 3 weeks for a refund.
I went to the supermarket with my children and my card got declined, which was very embarrassing. It should be returned quickly with an apology.
Now, Virgin admit there is a problem, but one they are trying to fix. And look, Eva, they claim that most of their customers should get that refund within just a few hours.
Okay, hopefully that is the case. Tessa, thank you.
Thousands of passengers were delayed at airports around the country today because of a computer glitch. Some people queued for hours as 50 Virgin Blue flights were cancelled and another 50 delayed. The airline blamed the mayhem on a problem with its terminal check-in system.
All packed and ready, but with nowhere to go.
We do sincerely apologise for the long delay this morning.
The only thing we've been told is that all the Virgin Blue systems have been shut down in Australia-wide.
The computer failure left thousands of angry customers stranded for hours.
I think it's chaos, and I think we should be told what's going on.
I just want to go home. Been here for too long now.
The chaos was caused when the check-in system crashed, forcing the airline to revert to manual boarding. Dozens of flights were delayed or cancelled.
Every time they do it, my heart just jumps and I think they're going to cancel our flight.
Why don't they have a backup system? I mean, this can happen any time. It's ridiculous.
Staff did their best to ease the angst with some helpful advice.
The best scenario is for you to go home today and call up our reservations.
That's hardly consolation for this New Zealand school sporting team heading to Brisbane for a major competition.
Oh, I'm pretty tired, I'm annoyed too.
We're a little bit peeved off at the moment because we have nowhere to go, nowhere to stay at the moment.
The airline was quick to blame an external supplier that runs many of its computer systems.
We expect them to be able to live up to what we need to promise our guests, and so we'll certainly be taking that up with them.
Jetstar too was briefly affected by the same computer glitch.
The problems couldn't have come at a worse time for Virgin Blue. It's grand final weekend in Melbourne and semi-final weekend in Sydney. And of course it's school holidays around the country.
We will certainly look after all our guests, so there will be compensation for them.
By late in the day, the airline had finally moved to a backup system, and most passengers able to get out.
I got the Virgin Blue
You'd be pretty blue too.
Music to the ears of many frustrated and tired travellers. John Thompson, ABC News.
At the Adelaide airport, passengers say there was a lack of communication about the delayed flights. Hundreds of passengers found ways to pass the time, while flights to Sydney and Melbourne were delayed up to 3 hours. A couple on their way to New Zealand for a holiday initially believed their delayed flight to Melbourne wouldn't make them miss their connecting flight overseas.
We're pretty easygoing, but I think if it was delayed by any more than it was, we'd be in a bit of a panic.
A short time later, panic did take hold when they discovered their flight had been delayed even further. After frantic calls to Virgin's call centre, the couple decided to buy a last-minute ticket with Qantas.
Yeah, $200 each, so that's all right. Bit out of pocket now, but at least we'll get there in time, so.
A spokeswoman says Virgin Blue flights at Adelaide Airport aren't expected to be back on schedule until tomorrow.
Nothing is for free. Police say the thousands of dollars accidentally dispersed at Commonwealth ATMs yesterday must be repaid.
We want to stress that if someone acquires money and they know they're not entitled to that money, they may well be committing a serious criminal offence. In most probability they'd be committing fraud, and that's attracts a maximum sentence of 10 years.
2 men have been charged overnight after allegedly capitalising on yesterday's computer glitch. For hours, machines failed to recognise customer accounts, dishing out money willy-nilly. The problem affected online transactions as well.
It's not showing up any of my money. I've been trying since about 8 o'clock this morning to make a couple of really important transfers, and it is so frustrating.
Despite the inconvenience caused by the bank's problem, once again customers will pay. Ashley Brown, 10 News.
Virgin managed to clear its 2-day backlog yesterday after 50,000 customers who were displaced when a computer glitch paralysed the airline for 21 hours. But today, passengers are reporting the system has gone down again. We'll, of course, bring you more details as they come to hand.
Last week, a trading firm called Knight Capital lost $440 million in 45 minutes thanks to a software glitch. The software basically caused Knight's computers to start buying and selling stocks like crazy, nearly 150 of them. Knight Capital didn't have enough money to handle the error, and the 45-minute mistake put it on the edge of bankruptcy. Knight needed a white knight and eventually found one through a group of investors who poured money in. They were lucky to survive. But a lot of people are still in shock that this happened. They say normally this would be caught within a few minutes by a computer. Knight's error was truly colossal, but it highlights something important. Computers dominate markets, the markets where IRAs, 401ks, and pension dollars sit, trusting the system. You can see when you look at the New York Stock Exchange floor, I remember when it was full. This is a tight shot, so you can't see the point I'm trying to make, but there's no one there anymore. Trades are executed by computers in fractions of a second. In that world, traders need any edge they can, going so far as putting their computer servers next to an exchange server, just to get their trade in before someone else. Yet when speed matters, the distance matters. So, if your computer's here, signal is to travel further. So putting it here is called co-location, and it's quite the time saver. And that's the number tonight, 10. That's how many microseconds traders save for every mile their trade travels when they use co-location services. So basically, if you execute a trade in Chicago, for every mile the data you're sending travels on its way to New York, you save 10 millionths of a second. It's a small amount of time, but in this day and age, it translates to big money. Pretty frightening.
But first tonight to breaking news, and Commonwealth Bank ATMs are being shut down across the city after a major computer glitch which saw some give out extra cash.
10's Andrew Denny is at Martin Place. Andrew, what's going on?
Yes, the problems initially started last night. This morning, customers were reporting issues accessing their online banking systems to pay bills or transfer money. Now, by this afternoon, those problems got worse and started to affect ATMs. Customers across the city have reported being able to withdraw thousands of dollars cash despite not having that money in their accounts. Now, in the last few minutes, we've been able to confirm with the Commonwealth what is going on. They say the issue is affecting all 3,300 ATMs across the country, but customers' money is safe. I can tell you here in the city, ATMs have been shut down. In some cases, security guards have been posted and police even been called to places to stop big crowds from withdrawing cash. Let's have a listen as to what they had to say earlier.
It is somewhat frustrating, yes.
Did you know that they were spurting out money?
No, I didn't realise that, or I'd have been here a lot earlier.
I've been here before and wasn't working, I come back in here and still doesn't work.
And today it's unacceptable. This service is unacceptable, so yeah.
And Andrew, police have issued a warning to customers who think they might be getting some free cash.
That's right. Police and the Commonwealth say that of those ATMs that are affected, people who are withdrawing cash won't get away with it. Of course, those details, account details, are being recorded with how much money is being taken as well. And of course, those banks will want that money back. Now, this, of course, is a developing story. We will bring you more details as they come to hand.
Andrew Denny reporting there from Martin Place.
Hi, my name's Justin, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about E-Trade and a large mistake they made and how they refused to make it right with me, the consumer. Story starts out, I just opened an E-Trade account on the 26th of October, and I deposited $1,000 of my hard-earned dollars into it. Then on the 31st of October, I was surprised to see a humongous balance, which you can see here from this screenshot, of $147,941.43 deposited cash into my E-Trade account. I promptly called in the next morning after seeing that after the customer service department was closed, and I called it in before touching it at all and explained to their people that there was a mistake and there was a lot of money that was put into my account that was not mine, and I just wanted to be honest about it. After this, I said the guy who I was talking to was kind of oblivious at the customer service department. He did not know how to work with this or how to deal with this. I don't think he was used to the fact that such a mistake would even be made, but it sure was. And I just said, well, I'm going to deposit this into a mutual fund while we wait on what happens. And he said nothing against the sort. So I proceeded to do that. Then the following day, I checked my account, and lo and behold, they liquidated everything without prior consent or talking to me. They took the entire amount, and you can see here, if I can bring this up bigger, $218.05 is my balance. Only that's negative. And I originally had deposited $1,000 into this account, and after they made a huge mistake of putting in a large sum of money and me being the honest one to call it in, I wake up the next day to find out that they've taken not only that money back, but also my own money and given me a negative balance through the investment I had on it by liquidating it all without any prior consent. I quickly called in and didn't expect this to be a big deal, expected it to be made right. I said I'd like to get that balance up to $1,000 deposit so I can start over since you took all my investments out. And was told that no such thing would happen and that this was not their responsibility anymore, that they had made a mistake with the original amount of money, and that they needed to get that money back, and it didn't really matter how I, the consumer, would deal with it. And I said, just it's $1,200. I was the one who called this in and reported your mistake, in all honesty, and complete refusal all the way to the top. I took it up to the top management until they said I couldn't talk to anyone else. I said, well, I guess I'll just talk to the world and tell them. E-Trade very much took my money and refused to give it back, and I don't really have the ability to take a legal battle with them. You can see here some of the people I talked to, if it'll focus. It looks like it won't. I talked to a Jason Moore and Bill Lewis from the Charlotte, North Carolina branch were the two individuals I spoke to regarding this matter. Sorry for the poor quality of video, but I'm even more sorry for the poor quality of E-Trade's service. I would recommend you guys all look elsewhere, namely Ameritrade or some other company, and that we answer what they give with the right consumer response and look elsewhere. Thanks for your time, and good luck in all you do.
Reports
of these technical gremlins started coming in late this afternoon. First in Sydney, police there say they've had numerous reports of ATMs dispensing incorrectly large amounts of cash. They believe up to 40 are affected. And I should say that New South Wales police have reminded people it is a criminal offence to keep excess money from ATMs. Here in Melbourne, Victoria Police have an unconfirmed report of an ATM behaving very strangely in Meadow Heights. And today, customers were reporting problems with the NetBank website as well as ATMs.
It keeps telling my card is at fault, E40 error. I've just been inside to question it and they say there's nothing they can do about it. All their banks are affected Australia-wide.
I've been trying since about 8 o'clock this morning to make a couple of really important transfers, and it is so frustrating.
The Commonwealth Bank said problems started with the NetBank site last night. That meant this morning people couldn't electronically pay bills, transfer funds between accounts, scheduled payments were delayed and phone banking channels were also affected. The bank was advising people who urgently needed to make a transfer to visit their local branch. The Commonwealth has described the ATM glitch as the biggest computer network failure it's seen. Customers were shocked too.
Seeing choppers outside the ATM, you know? It's like the Easter show.
But the big bank is staying quiet about how much cash was wrongly dispersed from faulty machines on Tuesday. Some people claim they were dished out hundreds of dollars they didn't have in their accounts. Other customers were denied access to their own cash.
The Commonwealth Bank should be bending over backwards because really yet again we're seeing further failures of the banking system to really provide strong and positive customer service.
As police warned, the money couldn't be kept. An 18-year-old Sydney man has pleaded guilty to obtaining $1,500 dishonestly in the computer meltdown.
Where are the regulators in this? What are the backup systems? Consumers have every right to know those answers.
Nothing is for free. Police say the thousands of dollars accidentally dispersed at Commonwealth ATMs yesterday must be repaid.
We want to stress that if someone acquires money and they know they're not entitled to that money, they may well be committing a serious criminal offence. In most probability, they'd be committing fraud, and that's attracts a maximum sentence of 10 years.
2 men have been charged overnight after allegedly capitalising on yesterday's computer glitch. For hours, machines failed to recognise customer accounts, dishing out money willy-nilly. The problem affected online transactions as well.
It's not showing up any of my money. I've been trying since about 8 o'clock this morning to make a couple of really important transfers, and it is so frustrating.
Despite the inconvenience caused by the bank's problem, once again customers will pay. Ashley Brown, 10 News.
This involves United Airlines. For the last 3 hours, we've been tracking the story. We can report that United is dealing with computer glitches. That's the term that the company is using system-wide, not only here in the United States, but around the world. It is not an outage, but according to United Airlines, they say they are experiencing their passenger service computer system having glitches. We are working to resolve this as quickly as possible and apologize to customers for any inconvenience. As you can imagine, guys, there are a number of people taking to social media saying, "Great, my flight is delayed." The extent of the delays is hard to know at this point. United has told me just a few minutes ago it's working to put a waiver system in place for those who have missed their flights or have had connections that have gone off without them being in place. But again, this is a computer glitch system-wide for United, not an outage. We will continue to work this story. That's one story on our beat today, guys.
As if the weather wasn't enough, Phil, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, United has had a history of problems when it comes to its computer reservation system. This is just the latest, and one that's going to irritate not only investors, but obviously the millions of people who fly on United around the world.
Delays are still expected on Virgin flights around the country today. The computer system has been patched up, but the airline now has thousands of stranded passengers in the backlog. Despite the airline claiming flights will be back to normal, there have already been over 100,000 passengers affected. 3AW reporter Donna DeMaio was at Melbourne Airport this morning.
I'm surrounded by about 1,000 people at the very least, all in queues, all looking very, very upset. In fact, I thought I wasn't going to see so many unhappy faces as I saw on Saturday afternoon after the draw and grand final. But I tell you what, there's heaps more grumpy people here at the airport as we speak.
Virgin is urging people to check the website for the latest on their flight information.
Emails and calls from viewers about that glitch at a popular bank in Colorado Springs. Apparently, some customers were charged nearly 20 times for one purchase, of course, overdrafting some of their accounts or dropping their balances hundreds of dollars. In this 11 call for action investigation, Mecca Rain is getting answers tonight about that glitch. So, Mecca, you just sat down with a man who was charged more than $600 for a $30 payment. What did he tell you?
Diane, he is downright angry. He had a house payment due earlier today and couldn't make it because his bank account was nearly drained. This is Jeff Morrell. His wife used their debit card for a $30 copay at the dentist's office on Wednesday. He was charged 18 times, totaling a little more than $600 for that one-time payment.
I told my wife, I said, maybe it was a glitch. I'll check it in the morning. So I checked it first thing this morning. It was still there.
It wasn't until Jeff got online today and saw our Facebook post that he realized he wasn't alone. We've learned the Academy Bank glitch is related to debit cards.
I don't really care whose problem it is. Fix it.
We went to Academy Bank to talk to managers there. They weren't able to talk on camera, but we did find out the problem affected about 5 to 8% of their customers in Colorado around one of the busiest shopping days of the season. Customers like Jeff aren't satisfied with a simple apology.
I don't really want a letter a month from now saying, oh, sorry for the inconvenience. Am I going to get compensated? Can I charge them $25 for each screw up on a withdrawal?
I did talk to the Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Academy Bank. Here's what he told me. We do offer our sincere apologies in terms of any frustration, in terms of trying to buy gifts in the holiday season, and we just know that we are working hard to get the issue corrected, and that should be corrected very shortly, and we do apologize for the inconvenience. He also tells me they've been working on this problem since they got word yesterday, and that as of now, the problem should be completely fixed. Reporting live in the studio, Mecca Rain, KKTV 11 News.
All right, Meg, thanks so much. Anyone who still has problems with their account should call or go into the bank right away.
National Australia Bank has apologised to customers who had payments and transactions rejected because of what's been called a technical glitch. We know about that in TV, don't we? 11.5 million customers found themselves unable to pay for things when the NAB system, which processes deposits, wages and salaries, played up.
And I wouldn't be the only one in this situation today. There would be a lot of people going to the supermarket, getting to the checkout, and there's no funds.
The IT problem came at a bad time for NAB Chief Cameron Klein. In a speech ahead of the tech trouble, he said the major banks should try and do something about the anger the public has towards banks. Yes, this is the same bank which registered a 63% jump in profit to $4.2 billion.
In the first technical failure from one of the major Australian banks in 2012, National Australia Bank customers were unable today, temporarily, to access their funds through ATMs and through EFTPOS machines. While it was National Australia Bank's turn today, these problems have been widespread across all of the major banks in Australia. And in December, the Commonwealth Bank had a similar problem where customers couldn't access their funds for a matter of hours. What's happening is that these major banks have large legacy systems behind them. And these systems, that can be decades old, have had other systems built on top of them over the years. As they upgrade the individual systems to make the overall performance faster, they run into problems that are unforeseen. One person that I talked to explained it like a game of Jenga, where one piece is removed and the bank is not sure exactly how that's going to affect the other systems that are still active. So these are the sorts of problems that we've seen, not just from NAB, but from other banks, and we unfortunately have to anticipate seeing more of them in the months to come.
Last week, the ANZ got into a spot of trouble when it revealed that it had been shortchanging some of its mortgage customers. They were being charged a little bit more than they should have. To talk about what they're going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again, hopefully, I'm joined by our banking reporter, Clancy Yates. So Clancy, what's ANZ doing about it?
Their real focus, Kai, is stamping out this scope for human error by removing manual processes. So they've launched a sweeping review of all their deposit accounts, their home loans, their small business products, and they're really just making sure that all of those products are living up to what they say they would and paying people the right amount. And they're also trying to reduce that scope for human error by automating more processes and having the right checks and balances in place just to make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen.
Okay, and obviously they're actually trying to get on the front foot here, and we know that this has happened with other banks before, and they haven't all handled it the same way, have they?
That's right. The problem here was with offset accounts, and we had the Bank of Queensland last year encountered a similar problem. They were basically not charging the right interest rates on their offset accounts, and then the National Australia Bank, their British operations were fined last year by the regulator over there for, again, interest rate problems.
And not being quite so transparent.
But that's right, but rather than trying to get on the front foot like this, NAB didn't always compensate people appropriately. They sort of, according to the regulator anyway, they let it slide for a bit of a time. Therefore, they got pinged with a fine of several million pounds.
Okay, so you can understand why a lot of customers would be concerned. Now, for people back here in Australia, how worried should they be about this? Because you've been speaking with ASIC.
Yeah, look, unlike in the UK where NAB was fined, ASIC hasn't imposed any sanctions on ANZ in this case. They're happy with the way ANZ's handled it. They're happy with the response that they've put in place, this review. And then more broadly on the offset accounts, they're not concerned that there's a systemic issue there. They say there's always going to be a risk when there's a lot of manual processes.
Yeah.
But as long as banks keep trying to automate them as much as possible, that's a positive thing.
It's a rare day when a bank says sorry, especially this many times.
And we are upfront and very apologetic. We are extremely apologetic, and we are very apologetic. We're very apologetic.
The National Australia Bank is apologetic because more than 2 days after a computer meltdown, many customers still can't make payments and transactions through FPOS, ATMs and online.
But they really need to pick up the game and charge a lot for what they offer. And I think that, simple access to your own cash is probably pretty important.
There's things they could have done that could have made it a bit easier. I absolutely understand that people are very annoyed about this. It is a very, very significant inconvenience for people.
And the problems spread. The Commonwealth, ANZ, HSBC and Citi all confirming some customers have been affected.
Perhaps most frustrating for NAB customers, the bank won't confirm exactly how the problem occurred, other than to say it was caused by some kind of corrupt file. They can't even confirm if it could happen again.
And there's no word yet on when it will be fixed.
It is a little bit annoying, but yeah, these things happen. I understand. Technology, unfortunately, is a fallible instrument.
But in a rare piece of positive banking news, Australians have saved $120 million a year since it became compulsory for banks to declare on screen the cost of using a foreign ATM.
People have responded to knowing what the foreign fee is going to be by changing their behaviour.
I'd like to apologise on behalf of the bank for the experience that so many of our customers had yesterday evening. We know it was a really busy time with people trying to do their shopping before Christmas, out for the evening, and we have let them down. So we have obviously thoroughly looked into this situation. The systems were down for about 3 hours last night. They are now fixed and working properly, and today we'll start the real detailed work to understand exactly what triggered the problems last night. But to reassure all of your viewers, the systems are now fixed and up and running, but we clearly deeply apologise for the inconvenience we've caused.
Welcome to Royal Bank Direct Banking. We're very sorry for our system issues last night.
A day on, and Beverly is still dealing with the fallout from a computer glitch in the RBS network.
They put a media statement out telling their customers that their accounts were okay, that everything was working normally. And that's just setting people up to go and have the humiliation of last night of having debit cards declined, which is a very humiliating experience.
She's one of millions of customers across the country that could be affected. And the longer this goes on, the bigger the threat to other businesses too.
I was in Tesco's and they had people at the front doors basically telling people that if they were RBS and NatWest that they couldn't use their payment cards.
It's estimated 750,000 people couldn't make cash withdrawals during the first 3 hours of the problem on Monday evening. More than a day later, there are reports that the issue still isn't resolved, jeopardizing the service for the 15.7 million customers RBS, NatWest, and Ulster Bank have between them, and potentially costing the bank too. A similar IT glitch last year saw the lender pay £175 million in compensation.
We are really sorry for what's happened. It is not the sort of service that our customers should expect, and particularly on a very busy shopping evening, people trying to get ready for Christmas. It's just not good enough.
RBS, of course, owns Ulster Bank and NatWest, and the group chief executive called this latest glitch unacceptable. So in the new year, he plans to outline the investment he thinks it'll take to make sure it doesn't happen again.
But for the RBS group of banks, this is the fourth problem in the past 2 years.
What we're looking at is a very, very big computer system that is quite old now, that was never designed for the demands of mobile banking and online banking, and has had all these new digital things plugged onto it. And to replace that is probably going to be in the order of hundreds of millions of pounds.
In the meantime, the bank took to Twitter to apologize for the inconvenience to customers. But 140 characters pales in comparison to the litany of real-time criticism it has faced. RBS says they haven't been hacked and the problem isn't due to the high volume of Christmas shopping transactions. But they haven't explained what did cause this breakdown either.
You'll often find them within a stone's throw of each other. Lloyds Bank, its new offshoot TSB, and Halifax, plus Bank of Scotland, with which it merged at the height of the financial crisis. Between its various high street guises, Lloyds Banking Group is Britain's biggest, and its 30 million customers depend on it to run smoothly. But yesterday, for around 3 hours, it didn't.
Did someone have to find another cash point? Yeah? Oh, that's not good.
Well, I just put my card in and it said temporarily unable to give cash.
It's a bit of an annoyance because I'll have to go elsewhere, but there's not a lot on my way home.
Around half of Lloyd's 7,000 ATMs went offline. An unknown number of customers had their debit cards declined. Normal service has resumed, but the bank has warned of some delays as the system recovers. Lloyds Banking Group says, although the majority of transactions were unaffected, we are very sorry for the inconvenience that this will have caused. Our economy is going increasingly cashless, and it's easy to take for granted that things work behind the scenes, but too often in Britain, they don't.
I went into my local supermarket just to pick up some, bits and bobs really, and ended up going to the counter and obviously said that my card had declined. First of all, you think, where's all the money gone? But obviously, there was a guy just ahead of me in the queue, and the same had happened to him. And the lady behind the counter said, do you bank with Lloyds?
And if all this sounds familiar, well, that's because RBS Group banks, including NatWest and Ulster Bank, have had similar problems in recent years, blamed on outdated computers. Both RBS and Lloyds are trying hard to regroup after the financial crisis, which saw them bailed out, leaving taxpayers major shareholders in each.
Customers could go elsewhere, but of course, where are they going to go? RBS, NatWest, Ulster Bank had problems. They've had this 3 times at one point for weeks in the Ulster Bank's case. So I think a lot of people will be thinking, well, I'd like to move, but where to?
The glitch hopefully sorted, Lloyds must now investigate the cause. Until established, questions will naturally be asked if scrimping on IT left its customers in the lurch. Ty Enright, Sky News.